Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Brian Winnikins, we are at Commodity Classic. Thank you to our Commodity Classic sponsors, including Wisconsin Corn Growers, Osteoplastics, Animal Wellness Center, Buffalo Valley, Wisconsin Farmers Union, Alcivia Co-op, and Wisconsin Soybean Growers Association. Joining us right now is Steve Trzebiatowski. He is president of the Wisconsin Soybean Association. We're going to talk a little bit about soybeans, how they're grown in Wisconsin, some of the products, and some of the challenges facing farmers today. And Steve, first, tell us a little bit about your farm.
My farm is located in central Wisconsin, specifically Amherst, and we're a 700-acre corn, soybean, alfalfa, small grains farm. And it's located in that area, and it's good to our elevators, close to those. And primarily, we are a corn and soybean grower.
Well, right now, obviously, soybeans have been going up. A lot of this has been driven by soybean oil prices because of the oil situation and the situation overseas.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The oil is a driving factor for the soybeans themselves, and it's taken the levels to levels we haven't seen in a long time. And hopefully, farmers do take advantage of these opportunities. And even on the new crop, if we have these price levels like that, protect them. These are lofty levels.
Meanwhile, though, on the flip side, inputs are way up.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The inputs, it's tough to balance those when we're two to three times higher than we were a year ago, whether it be fertilizer, crop protection, seed, things like that. So farmers need to balance that out, and that's one way they need to protect what their end ROI is on these products like that. And one of the best ways is crop insurance with yield protection and other tools in their toolbox.
Are Wisconsin soybean growers also concerned about some of these crop protection and fertilizer, not only prices but availability?
Yeah, you're exactly right on that, because even though they're prepaid and everything else, they're in close connections with their suppliers, except that hopefully those are delivered on time, because we're only 30 days away from hitting the field, and we know what happens when we hit the field. Everybody wants their product now.
Talking with Steve Trzebiatowski, president of the Wisconsin Soybean Growers Association. Steve, there's consumers have a lot of questions about how soybeans are grown, really agriculture in general, how the sustainability of it. Tell us what some of the things Wisconsin soybean growers are doing, in fact, to reduce like water usage or fertilizer usage.
Yeah, and lately in the last 5 years, a lot of watersheds have popped up through the state of Wisconsin, and that is being proactive. They're managing their land, doing things like cover crops, just to make sure that the soil stays intact, and they're also going the next level and doing a lot of no-tilling, and that's preserving water, preserving the soils and everything else, and it's been a win-win for the farmer.
Meanwhile, we see diesel fuel prices in Minnesota approaching the $5 mark, and soy biodiesel can play a part in this to help lower some of these fuel costs, right? Yes,
we're all on board with that, and this is a great opportunity for us to implement higher standards when it comes to the soy oil. It's a blend that we can live with, and it'll help the economy, and it'll also help the environment. We're seeing a lot of municipalities that are turning over a lot of their fleets to it, and they're seeing the advantage in the state of Wisconsin.
Some consumers might have a fear of, but we're taking food and turning it into fuel, but there's more to it than just soy biodiesel that comes from a soybean.
Yeah, you break down the soybean, there's multiple things you make from it. There's feedstock that's made, there's also the oil, but there's so many other uses and things like that we're getting out of that soybean, and also have food left over that we either feed livestock or feed poultry and things like that. So there's multiple uses for it. So it's not that we're taking food off our plates. We're being selective as what we do with it.
I know one of the things that the Wisconsin Soybean Association does with the Wisconsin Soybean Growers and the marketing board, online you have badgerbean.com, and that's really kind of a place where consumers can go to find out about some of these things that Wisconsin Soybean Growers are doing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Badger Bean is a nice webpage with a lot of good information. It has agronomy articles and things like that. And Sean Conley is the professor from UW-Madison that heads that, and he actually is on our Wisconsin soybean board also. And it's a blessing for us with his knowledge and his data that he does year after year, and he shares that with the public. By all means, I would advise every producer, if you want to learn things like that, go to those things, come to the Commodity Classic, or even the Wisconsin Corn and Soybean Association. We have the Corn and Soybean Expo in Wisconsin Dells, and that's a good learning experience there.
Finally, Steve, with some of the Wisconsin soybean growers, what are some of the things have they been talking about here at Commodity Classic? Obviously, the prices has got to be the biggest one, but what are some of the other things that soybean growers from Wisconsin are talking about?
Well, farmers always talk weather, and and when it comes to weather, obviously South America comes to mind. We know what kind of crop they have. It continues to get smaller, and unfortunately for them, and good for the American farmer, it's helped our prices and continues to help that. We obviously have weather conditions in the western part of the state, and that's a concern. So it's weather. Weather is one of the primary things. But at these levels, they're talking about how they can balance, how they can make their cash flow, how they can price things. So there's a lot of good information you can take, and you can take it in at the Commodity Classic.
You mentioned the weather. You know, we recorded this on Thursday, and I was outside just for a little bit. It's like sunshine and 75, and I was like, is there a way I can do all my interviews outside compared to back home in Wisconsin?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, the weather back home, and for this weekend they're looking at negative numbers at night. So this is beautiful weather here. It's great. We'll enjoy this.
I still want to know what all that green stuff is on the ground. I think that's grass, but I'm not sure.
Yes, I got out and I touched it.
That is Steve Trzebiatowski, president of the Wisconsin Soybean Growers Association from Commodity Classic. I'm Brian Winnekins.